97.3. Come on. Let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let Citi relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays, happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue, oh yeah. Welcome to the Traffic Avenue.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Salom Adunu. Tonight I'm here with
Akosia Ocho.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes, basic education in Ghana on its knees. This is a summary of a memorandum of issues released by civil society groups in the education sector. How do we rescue an ailing education subsector? Also coming up tonight.
It is very important that we don't go backwards as a country. We cannot put this country back in the hands of people who don't have an understanding of and a belief in this vision.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia submits his nomination forms for MPP flag bearership with a promise to chart his own path with his own vision to move Ghana to the next level, as he sadly asserts that he is his own man. Later on Eyewitness News, High Court dismisses Jachi Kwesi's application to stay criminal proceedings against him until after the June 27 by-elections in Asin North. More on this later. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in business.
Cybersecurity expert Maximus Ametogo urges the central bank to strengthen regulation of loan applications to protect vulnerable borrowers.
Netele Neti Ajaho returns with more in the world of business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. We are on Premier FM 100.5 FM in Takrady and Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady. Sky Power as well on 93.5 FM, also in Takrady. We are in the Bono region. We are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In Ahafo region, we are on Hames Radio 106.5 FM. That is in Gosu. In Ashanti region, we are on Orange FM 107.9. In the Volta region, we are on Akpini Radio, 96.7 FM. In Pando, Heritage FM, 107.3 in Hawaii. In the Northern region, we are on Dasuma, 99.1 FM. In Yendi, in the Upper East, we are on Wed FM, 88.3 FM. In Zuarungu, in Upper West, we are on Westlink, 88.1 FM. In Laura and the Northeast, we are on Eagle FM 94.1 in Wale. Eyewitness News is live across the country, as I just said, also on Citi FM, citinewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 0549986996. The hashtag, as always, is Citi Newsroom. You can follow me on Twitter at Selom. Now we get to the third story, where some civil society organizations and teacher groups have revealed that only 17 out of 5,400 schools under trees have been completed by the Akufo-Addo-led government since 2021. A report put together by 10 civil society organizations, including Star Ghana, Comfort, and Action Aid, added that at the current pace, it would take Ghana more than 300 years to eradicate the over 5,400 schools under trees, sheds, and dilapidated structures. So joining me on the line now with this details of this report is the Senior Programs Officer of the Africa Education Watch, Divine Ekpe. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Can you take us through, how you arrived at the conclusions your memorandum of issues arrived at?
All right, thank you. Good evening to you, Selom, and also to your listeners. So, if you look at our memorandum issues, we have outlined about 17 issues bordering about quality and access deficits in the basic education space. And primarily, we believe that 18 years of implementing free compulsory universal basic education, and then also midway to the implementation of the SDG4, we should have made significant progress when it comes to access and quality issues at the basic education level. But you look at the Ministry's Education's own data, you understand that there are still deficits when it comes to access and quality, especially on the part of education financing at the basic education level. If you look at the education budget from 2014 to 2021, basic education share of the pre-tertiary discretionary budget has declined from 30% to 10%. And if you look at the 2023 budget alone, out of the 4.5 billion Ghana cedis that has been allocated in terms of pre-tertiary discretionary budget, SHS is taking about 90%, leaving 10% for basic education. And then come to goods and services budget, which is the budget line that actually, if you want to talk about quality of education implementation in our basic schools, that's where the budget line you have to look at. And that of the basic education for 2023 has declined about 43% from the previous year compared to secondary school that has appreciated by 18%. And just about 3 days ago, Wednesday is about 2 or 3 days ago, Parliament has approved the 2023 Get Fund formula, and we're so surprised to see that only 13% of Get Fund money is being allocated to basic education, while 42% is being allocated to SHS or secondary education, because strongly believe that the number of schools that you are mentioning, over 5,000 schools that are still under trees, we need to prioritize basic education, especially at the Get Fund side, because Get Fund is the dedicated money that is to address the infrastructure deficit in our schools. So if 13% of the Get Fund 2023 Get Fund money is going for basic and 42% is going for secondary education, it tells you that little will be done when it comes to addressing these 5,000 schools that are under tree shared and dilapidated structures. And also we are having about 4,000 junior high schools that we need to improve primary junior high school transition. So for us, the methodology of how we arrive on the issues is basically to use the Ministry of Education's own data and then document that in the public domain.
I see. A part of it which is particularly troubling has to do with the unavailability of textbooks a few years after the introduction of a new curriculum. What really is the problem in this sector? Because the textbooks often are printed by private persons and then sold to the students. So it's not as if they require money from government to do the printing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why has it taken such a long time for the textbooks to flood the market?
The textbook can flood the market, but for that one will be targeting the private school children, or if parents want to buy individual textbook for their own kids, then they can go to the market. But for public basic schools, government will have to engage the publishers to procure the textbook for the pupils. So basically, the problem is, again, comes to financing. We have been using the GET fund to finance this textbook supply to schools. But as you may be aware, GET fund, the amount of money that has been flowing into the fund has been inadequate over the years, following the capping of GET fund and other 13 statutory funds. So there hasn't been any adequate fund that actually remains in the fund of the fund to even implement some of these interventions, especially when we are talking about the textbook issues. So it comes back to how government is prioritizing basic education compared to that of high school education. Whereas if we believe strongly, if government is to put premium on basic education, government wouldn't be using about 81% of the money, the GET fund money, the 2023 GET fund money that will be going to SHS. Government wouldn't be using 81% to purchase tablets for pupils when you are having pupils at the primary school and then SHS that are not having, primary school and then junior high school that are not having textbook. 4 years into implementation of your program and then 2 years into the implementation of that of the GSS program. So if government priority is to distribute textbook while you have a good number of your own pupils at the basic level that are not having textbook, then again it comes to the point that government is not paying attention to basic education. And that's why when you follow the presser, we had a hashtag basic first. Give attention to basic education. Once attention is given to basic, I'm sure some of these funding gaps that are existing, government will be able to close them.
I see. So what in your view do you think is the reason why there's so much attention at the senior high school level to the neglect or the disadvantage of the basic school level, apart from it being a major campaign promise which has been implemented which is being implemented? What could be the reason why government is focusing so much at the secondary school level? Is it that the cost of running senior high school is higher, so government needs to put in more resources there to accommodate the numbers and also do expansion, whilst we already have some appreciable infrastructure at the basic school level? What really is the matter, in your view?
Some of you have just mentioned one of the points, that is, it is a flagship program for government. It has been a campaign promise for government, and government will have to do everything at all costs to ensure its success. I always tell people that, look, when it comes to the implementation of regional high school program, it is not that government will not have the money to do it. Government would always have the money to do it, but it will always come at the cost of basic education and other subsectors of the education area. So when it comes to the implementation of regional high school program, it is not a matter of whether government will have the money to do it or not. No, that's not the issue at all. Government will do everything to get the money, and at the end of the day, the brunt will be felt by basic education and other subsectors of the education sector. So yes, it is a promise that government is so dear in fulfilling and has to do everything to prove to Ghanaians that, look, we have promised this and we are able to deliver it. But also, it is because attention by parents when it comes to their interest in education, the basic education level, parents' attention is woefully non-existent, because at the end of the day, how many number of middle class people do we have there was in public basic education? So we don't have that, the number of middle class people that are having their was in basic primary education. They are not enough. So we don't see that interest from the middle class in pushing for improvement at the basic education level. So if there's this lack of pressure from the middle class people on government to address the challenges at the basic education level. Government will always take the basic for granted. So it's very important. You look at the secondary school level, we have a good number of the middle class people working in the high school. So government will have to channel money to that level to impress them, because the middle class, they have understanding of the issue. They appreciate issues when it comes to the delivery of education. So government will have to address the issue at that level for them to see that they are doing something. But when it comes to basic education level, even the PTAs, their voice is woefully non-existing. The SMCs, they are weak, and the middle class that will voice out their words are not in school, so it becomes difficult for them also to champion the cause of basic education. So that has also been accounting for the challenges that we have experiencing at the basic education level.
You also talked about shifting cost of basic education to parents. It appears that parents do not have a role to play in the basic education of their children. I mean, what should be the role of parents if they don't bear any of the cost, incurred by government in the provision of basic education to their children? The parents must be responsible as well, shouldn't they?
Of course, I agree with you that parents must be responsible. But when you do it, that you made it the case that parents should not be part of the financing, but your financing is not regular, it's not adequate, and therefore creating room for heads to charge the pupils for money that have not been approved, then it creates issue when it comes to access to education for some of these pupils. Yes, if you want our parents to be part of financing of education for their wards, then it has to be formalized. We need to have that conversation and know that, look, this is where parents are to ensure that they provide finances when it comes to the running of their wards education. But if you say you are implementing FQ and then you are giving life to that through the capitation grant, then it means that you have to make the capitation grant adequate and it should be coming regularly, so that some of these pocket of issues that are being raising, like the headmaster charging the parents before enrollment. Okay, before I enroll your ward in this, we have to pay this amount. These are some of the hidden causes. And then in Greater Accra, before some teachers or heads admit some of these children into school, they have to ask them to buy their own desks. So it is not a duty of the parents to buy the desks. But if you want parents to be part of it, then it has to be formalized. Not that it is left at the discretion of the heads of the institution as to who to charge and who not to charge, how much to charge and how much not to charge. At the end of the day, that could be pricing some of these children out of education. So if we want parents to be part of it, why not? It's a conversation that has to be done. And then once we agree that this is how much they have to pay and to what extent they have to pay, the parents can understand that this is their role. But if there has been any of such structure, and then we have left it open for heads of institutions to do their own thing by charging how much and then how regular they charge those amounts, then it creates a problem.
I see. You also made quite a bold claim about recruitment of teachers being politicized. I mean, how is that?
We've been in this country very recent. I particularly follow on social media some friends of mine sharing videos of politicians saying they have secured teaching appointment for some of their constituents. And such letters even came or got to the people that were recruited before GE's own final official recruitment letters came to persons that they recruited. So it's not a job of MPs to say we are issuing appointment letters to teachers or potential teachers. No. Some of these letters, appointment letters, were issued in the offices of politicians, MPs. So the recruitants, they came to their office, then the letters were issued to them. I have been in the teaching space for some time. I haven't seen that done before. Letter of appointment. Previously, we had to go to your district education office to pick your appointment letter. Now they have reformed the space, so you can now apply online and then download your application or recruitment letter online. It has never been that you have to go into the offices of MPs to receive your appointment letter. It has never been like that. So for us, it has all been an issue of politicians interfering in this recruitment process to the extent that it has not been issued that they can publicized on social media that they have secured appointment for this number of people when it comes to teaching their constituency. Therefore, it's not the best. GS must be allowed to manage the process.
I see. So what recommendations do you have for government and the sector generally?
The first is for government to use the supplementary budget to increase budgetary allocation to education. If you look at the 2023 education budget, we have turned below the international benchmark of 15 to 20% that of the total government expenditure that we're supposed to allocate to education. We have done below that. We're doing about 12% this year. The first is for government to use the supplementary budget to increase to the minimum threshold of 15%. And this increment should be targeted at addressing the infrastructure challenges at the basic education level. It is also very important for us to stress the need for government to discontinue its plan to procure tablets for senior high school students. We don't see that as a priority in this space of time. When we are in economic austerity, the best government can do is to be prudent in managing the little resources that it has. A government needs not to be wasteful. So we see the attempt by government to procure the tablet for 1.3 million SHS students as waste of resources. Government should discontinue that, and that money should be channeled to address existing challenges at the basic education level. And then also government should take steps to procure textbook and distribute them to basic education, especially the primary school level, where we are implementing a new curriculum 4 years on, and then school have still not taken delivery of the full complement. And then on the part of the DEX deficit, about 2.3 million Ghanaian pupils at KG primary and then GSS do not have DEX. Governments should be able to collaborate with Corporate Ghana and then also with Forestry Commission, the faith-based organization, NGOs, to have as a matter of urgency address this existing DEX deficit in our schools. And in Accra, especially in urban areas in general, the overcrowded schools that we are having, it's very important for government to have an emergency infrastructure expansion plan to address the overcrowding in our schools in urban areas.
All right. Thanks so much, Senior Programs Officer of Africa Education Watch, Divine Ekpe. Thanks so much for the comprehensive work you have done with your colleagues, civil society organizations in education space. And we hope that the issues you have raised receive the needed attention. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's go to Parliament, speak to the ranking member on the Education Committee, MP for Akachi North, Peter Nochu Kotoi. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Have these issues, perchance come to the table of the Education Committee of Parliament, and what have you been doing about them? These are quite comprehensive issues, which have eaten deeply into the fabric of basic education in the country.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. Yeah, the Education Committee has received a petition concerning the topic under discussion, and we have scheduled Thursday next week to meet the petitioners over this issue. So it has come to our notice, and we quickly want to take action on it because they are very grievous issues that they have raised. And I think it is important that as a committee we meet them and see what their concerns are. And I think they have very genuine concerns, which I think is worth listening to.
Yeah, but the concern really is, of course, you said you've received a petition from. The concern is, without this petition, is it a case that the committee did not know about these and so have not addressed or made taken any steps to address them? Yes, the petition may have come to your notice, but before the petition, did we know about these issues, and what have we been doing to address them?
Well, these are issues that we are very much aware of, especially at the basic level. Every year, if you listen to us, especially for those of us on the minority side on the committee, we talk about the reducing allocation to basic education. As we speak now, for almost 3 years now, capitation grant has not reached the schools. And this sums of money the heads of the association use for day-to-day administration, even buying materials that they need to repair broken furniture and all those things, sports and culture and all those things. But for 3 years now, nothing has gone to them. Then there is increasing number of classrooms or schools without adequate infrastructure. And I can tell you that, but for the intervention or even the committee of the whole of Parliament, this year, GetFund was not going to allocate any money for the construction of even a single 3-unit classroom block in the country, because the allocation given to GetFund was just woefully inadequate. So we are aware of this, that the issues are there. We say it always when we come to budget session, and the opportunity we have, we talk about it. But the government doesn't seem to be paying attention to whatever concerns we raise as a minority on the committee. So that's why I say, well, they can also say it. We have spoken, and once they have also come to add their voice, I think we will listen to it and then present a report to the speaker. And I think that probably may force government to pay some attention to what they are talking about.
There's an interesting one also about politicized recruitment of teachers. And we hear these days appointment letters of teachers are issued from the offices of the members of parliament. Has this come to your notice? And have you also been issuing appointment letters like that?
Members of parliament don't issue appointment letters. What is happening is the over-centralization of activities at the Ministry of Education. Appointments like this should be done by the Ghana Education Service. So although you see that it is the Director General who signs the letter, instructions come from the Ministry of Education. That's why I say over-centralization. And the process, for my information, is that they have to go through verification at the NTC. And in my interaction with the minister 2 days ago, he said there's a fraud in the system where some people are taking money from unsuspecting teachers who were unable to pass the National Teacher Licensure exam. They are given fake numbers, and then when they apply, and they are not recruited. So he has shown me information on that. But what I want to say is that the recruitment of teachers is over-centralized, because the postings are done in Accra, and you are sent straight to a school in the district. So you realize that when I queried that, the minister said they have a list, or they have data on the vacancies in all schools in the country, and that's why they post them direct to the district, and then they report at the regional education office for final posting. But I still consider that as over-centralization. Yeah.
I see. Thank you so much. The Honorable Peter Nochu Kotoid, ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament and MP for catching off. Thanks so much for speaking to us on Eyewitness News. A few of your messages that have come through. This one from Aka Paul Jr. Says, why won't the quality of basic education in this country deteriorate? Instead of government to focus much attention on basic education, they are only focusing on senior high school, all because pupils at the basic level will not add to their electoral fortunes. This one from Prince Henry says the fact that Nana Bawumia-led MPP government is only trying to show some cosmetic care towards secondary education in our country in anticipating to win some votes during general elections. It's not absurd and wicked that basic schools don't have textbooks, yet we have money to buy laptops for SHS. He said the future is pregnant. Eyewitness News will take a short break. We'll return and we'll tell you about what Bawumia has been saying after he filed his nomination to become flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you, can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Hey, you ever buy credits where you get up to 20% of your money back before? Make I tell you about Vodafone's demo promo. See, anytime you recharge a demo, you get up to 20%, whether it be short code or your Vodafone cash wallet, or you don't use credit transfer to your number or someone else. And now you be high tech, so you don't use my Vodafone app or any payment app. However you do, Vodafone go send you up to 20% cash back. Into your Vodafone cash account. Reload here. Top up your airtime with 5 Ghana Citi or more in Vodafone's demo promotion and receive 20% of your money back straight into your Vodafone cash wallet. Recharge and cash out in the Vodafone demo promotion.
Vodafone, further together.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has revealed a digital transformation agenda as he bids to lead the new patriotic party into the 2024 general election as flag bearer. The Vice President spoke of his vision to make Ghana the digital hub of Africa when he filed his nomination to contest the party's presidential primaries in November.
We started the process of transforming Ghana into a country ready for the 4th Industrial Revolution. I brought honesty, hard work, dedication, and discipline to my role as Vice President. Notwithstanding the economic challenges of our time, our government has constructed more infrastructure than any other government in the Fourth Republic. And many transformational policies have been introduced for the first time in our history, including the mass issuance of the Ghana card, the digital address system, mobile money interoperability, delivery of medicines by drones, one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs, Zongo Development Fund, Agenda 111, free TVET, free SHS, to mention just a few. We have also created over 2 million jobs in 6 years, more than any other government in the Fourth Republic. My dear friends, having implemented these transformational policy initiatives, it is very important that we don't go backwards as a country. We cannot put this country back in the hands of people who don't have an understanding of and a belief in this vision. That is why it is important for us to break the AIDS. There is still so much more to do. My dear friends, I have my own vision for Ghana. I believe that it is time to move Ghana to the next level by building on the foundations we have put in place so far. Together with you, I want to see a Ghana where we leverage technology, data, and systems for inclusive economic growth. I want to make Ghana the digital hub of Africa. I want us to bridge the digital divide and apply digital technology and artificial intelligence for the transformation of healthcare, education, and public service delivery, amongst others. Together with you, I want to see a Ghana with an education system tilted towards STEM, robotics, artificial intelligence, digital and vocational skills to cope with the demands of the fourth industrial revolution. Together with you, I want to see a Ghana where we cater for the poor, the vulnerable, the excluded, and the sick. Together with you, I want to see a Ghana where we attain food security in the shortest possible time through the application of science and data and irrigation to commercial farming. Together with you, I want to see a Ghana with robust fiscal discipline in the management of our public finances to sustainably and significantly reduce our interest rates. Together with you, I want to see a Ghana with an empowered local business sector, especially startups and SMEs, to drive investment and growth. We will transform the SME landscape by providing unique identifiers and using technology to help them access new financing and new markets. I also want to provide incentives to the private sector to replace government in the provision of a significant amount of infrastructure and many other services.
So that was Vice President and flag bearer hopeful of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Very well. So we get to the phone lines now and then speak to Dennis Abuaji Miracles, who is a member of the Bawumia campaign or communications. But before that, we speak to Professor Kobe Mensah, who is an associate professor with the University of Ghana Business School, and he has quite a lot of insight in political marketing, etc. Hello, good evening, Prof. Welcome to Eyewitness News. I mean, you've heard the vice president, officially a candidate for the flag bearership slot of the party. You heard him speak, and from where you stand, how resonating do you feel that the message he delivered was with the people he was addressing, or to the nation generally?
Okay, thank you for having me, and good evening to everybody. I think listening to Vice President Bawumia, I just couldn't believe that the entire statement that he gave never mentioned anything about the economy. I mean, let me ask you, what is Vice President Bawumia's claim to political fame in this country? Why was he selected by the Akufo-Addo, by President Akufo-Addo to be part of his, presidential ticket? Now, every Ghanaian that you ask, this vice president was single-handedly chosen for a particular reason. And the reason is that he is going to change the fundamentals of this country. Particularly, he said, and his words, from taxation to production. In his words, he was fundamentally going to change the fortunes of the country's city and making sure that the economy of this country will be resilient, will be robust. Now, two key features of leadership: accountability and honesty. Now, I think that if this vice president would want us to really take him to the apex of the ticket, i.e., to become a president of this country, first, he must be honest with us to tell us what happened from taxation to production, and what happened to a resilient city.
No, but is it not clear? Is it not clear what happened to production from taxation to production and all of that? What happened was COVID, and it's
needs
COVID.
To be accountable.
COVID happened,
and say that even in his statement, he didn't actually even say that, and he didn't even admit that perhaps there had been an impact of COVID, an impact of Russia-Ukraine. If he wants to be honest with Ghanaians and to say that he needs our vote, he has to be honest and accountable. He hadn't been. Now he's moving towards digitization, or digitalization, so to speak, and he's saying that he's going to digitalize this country. That is not what we want. That is not our problem. Our problem fundamentally is the economy. The reasons why he was actually brought into the limelight, and that is his claim to fame, to political fame in this country. Today,
but Prof, to be fair to him, to be fair to him, he spoke quite extensively, and we only played a small portion of it. So I'm sure,
fundamentally,
yes,
he should have been perhaps dominant in his speech. I have always claimed that until Bawumia actually answers the economic question, answers the taxation to production question, we cannot believe, trust, and make him president of this country. We cannot. And if Ghanaians really think that this man is actually fit to be president of this country, then of course we have undermined what it means by democracy. Because if somebody performs, we appreciate, we reward. If somebody fails, we do not reward. So what is he trying to tell us? That he couldn't perform, but we should still give him the permission to be the president of this country? I doubt it. So he should rather go back to the people, tell us why he couldn't perform in terms of the economy, tell us that he's honestly sorry, and then perhaps he can chart a new course. Until he provides that, I don't think that he's honest enough to be a president of this country, because he's failed. He has failed miserably.
In fact, he actually said he's been honest and very loyal and all of that. So he claims that
he's been loyal to Nana Akufo-Addo.
Yes,
he hasn't been loyal to the country.
But speaking about the economy,
to become the president of this country.
Speaking about the economy, are you not being too, should I say, traditional in the economy? Digitization. There's a way digitization affects the economy. We hear
everybody knows that.
Yes.
Fundamentally, you cannot solve the issue of the city depreciation with digitalization. How are you going to solve that?
So, for example, his government has introduced one district, one factory.
Free SHS, for example, is collapsing, and he asked him the question that the people, the women who are actually cooking for the young people, are actually saying that the 0.97 city that the government is actually paying is not enough. What was his answer? And he says that digitalization. How is digitalization going to solve the school meals for the people in terms of how much the government is actually paying?
But is that not important for what we call the fourth industrial revolution? I mean, which is a big part of economic development.
We can twist all that we want. We can spin all that we want. The fundamental question is, Bawumia has actually failed this country. The very fundamental platform that he spoke on, a lot of the times, his wife actually said that her husband knows how to turn economy around. That's why the president actually chose him. He should come and answer to us why he couldn't actually fix it, and perhaps say sorry to this country. And as a result, we probably would consider. Otherwise, I don't think he has any claim to leadership in this country. He hasn't.
But are you denying the impact COVID had on the economy, and then what the Russian-Ukraine war is also doing on the economy? The argument often is that the argument often is that the economy was doing quite well, growing at impressive rates before the COVID hit.
The evidence doesn't suggest that, and many countries have actually shown that. Of course, many African countries have actually shown that it is not really the impact of COVID, the impact of Russia and Ukraine. There is evidence to suggest that he had failed. Okay, tell me, how many instances could you see that the economy, the fundamental economy of this country has changed. Forget about the issue of inflation, the issue of exchange rate issues. Tell me how many factories, how many things that you can actually pinpoint to actually demonstrate that there has been a change, fundamental change of this economy from taxation to production. Can you show me any evidence?
Well, I know that over 200 factories have been built as part of the One District, One Factory agenda.
We have to be serious. The point I'm making is when politicians fail, we must tell them that they failed. When they perform, we must praise them and then we must reward them. If he's failed, he's failed. We have to tell him there is no spin to it. He has disappointed many people in this country. I sit here and I'm actually paying more than 15,000 cities for a plane ticket. How come that a city that you say you're going to strengthen, now it is almost, I don't know how to even put the status of the city. And you think that we should give you another chance? That's undermining democracy. Nobody goes to a company, buys something from a company, and the company's product is not good, and you keep giving your money to them. It means that you are emboldening the management of this country. That's why if a company is collapsing, we actually sell it off. We rebrand and put it under what we call new management, so that the confidence of the people, of the consumers, would come back into the company. You do not give the same money back to a company that has disappointed you and think that it will change. It won't. Bawumia cannot be the president of this country because he hasn't actually answered the fundamental question. The fundamental solution that he said he was going to give, he hasn't. And all of us are suffering the implications. I am not going to mince words because it is clear that this guy had failed. And we have to say it. If nobody is going to say it, I will tell him that he has failed. And as a result, we're not going to give him another chance to be a leader of this country. No.
How about the argument that he was assisting somebody who had the vision, and now he says that given the opportunity, he will have to implement his own vision, chart his own path,
his job,
and then he called it the digital transformation, agenda.
His job was cut out for him. The president fundamentally said that he was picked to solve fundamental problems. We knew that the president was a human rights activist. He was a lawyer. He picked a certain economic messiah to solve the economic problem of this country. We are in a mess. Nobody can say that we are not in a mess. We are in an economic mess. We've gone to IMF. He hasn't said anything about it. There are key issues, very, very fundamental key issues. This guy hasn't spoken about it. He said that we were not going to actually, he actually said that digitalization was actually the way forward. There was not going to be any e-levy. We had e-levy. He never spoke about it.
All right.
He can't excuse himself from the failures of this country. No.
Very well. Prof, thanks so much for speaking to us this evening. Professor Kobe
me.
Mensah is an associate professor with the University of Ghana Business School. Now, I've been joined on the line by Dr. Gideon Boakun, who is an technical aide or assistant to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Is this the official speech we had to launch the campaign of Dr. Bawumia, or this is was just to address his supporters who came to support him today?
Thank you, my brother. To respond to that directly, there's not going to be any official launch of campaign. The Vice President has started his campaign after filing today. He just visited the Yawaso West constituency, East constituency, and is moving on to the Ladikotopon constituency to engage the party people. But before I proceed, I have a fundamental problem. The fundamental problem I have is that speaking with you here, I am an academic, a university lecturer, and a researcher. I have identified myself with the new patriotic party at this government. So when I'm speaking on issues, I identify myself like that. My good friend Kobe is an academic, a university lecturer, and a researcher like me. He is a typical NDC person. When you call him on your show and you don't identify him as such and give him the platform to speak as if he's neutral and goes around pointing issues out with NDC spectacles, it becomes worrying. So we need to really put things into perspective. All the
Well,
things
I do not know him as an NDC person, and he's spoken a number of times about things which were not favorable to the NDC. So we will call him to speak on the specifics. If you have other information, I am not privy to that, I think.
I am surprised, but everybody knows Kobe is an NDC person. That's the issue I just want to settle. But more to the substantive issue that he raised, I'm a bit worried that people who are supposed to know better and educating students are talking as if we don't even understand fundamentally when we talk about the economy, what it is about. And I was happy when you tried to bring him in line to say that, look, when we talk about economy, what are we talking about? What are the things that come together to make an economy and the economy that we want? And to say that Baumia delivered a speech today without a touch on the economy beats my thinking, because everything he said today, the things that has happened in the past, the vision that he shared, are all hinged on the economy. So I truly do not get the point when people would want us to believe that an economy, or you only talk about economy when you are mentioning economic indicators. That is not how I was trained. That is not how any student is trained to understand the economy.
Yes, but thankfully you are a technical person. But to the masses, if the economy is doing well, it means they have money in their pockets. I mean, they are able to afford. I mean, they have good purchasing power. They're able to do what they want to do. But the point really is that Dr. Baumia was portrayed, indeed introduced to the Ghanaian public as an economic messiah and the one to bring Ghana out of a supposed economic doldrums that NDC had plunged the country into. And the point is that a lot of the things he promised, for example, moving the country from a place of taxation to production, has not really materialized. That is the concern many people have.
And what is your criteria for saying that has not materialized? What is the yardstick? What is the measuring rod? What is the metric? Okay.
We can be technical about this, but so we look at the even indicators.
Please, you've asked a technical question. Allow me to answer you on that. When somebody says you are moving from taxation to production, what it means is that you try as much as possible to reduce the rate at which you are taxing and increase your production. Or even if you are taxing, you make sure your production also goes higher. That is basically what it means. And this is a government that came into office, and on the back of this pledge, in one fiscal year, the first budget this government presented reduced 17 different taxes or abolished them in this country. Have we ever had such a massive reduction or abolishment of taxes in this country before? So when a government goes this way and reduces this number of taxes, goes ahead in subsequent years to reduce many more taxes, and it gets to a point where the government introduces some other taxes, you don't just get up to say that you have not done anything. You rather need to juxtapose the number of taxes that have been reduced vis-a-vis the new introduction that has come to play. The government did not say that taxes will never be introduced at all. Or the government did not say we will introduce taxes throughout. It says there should be a conscious effort to move away from making taxation the major preoccupation of economic governance to reducing the level of taxes and making sure that you spare growth. That's exactly this government has done. There has never been any government since 1992.
So for example, you reduce or you scrap some taxes, and then you introduce other ones. Others have said, or many have said, are very regressive. For example, e-levy that affects almost everybody. You know, so and then recently 3 new taxes: the growth and sustainability tax, and a few other taxes have been increased. VAT has been increased, and it affects almost everybody, and all of that. So when people speak, that is the context in which they speak. That you may have taken some taxes away, but you found a way of clawing them back and introduce taxes with even higher rates, which are now affecting more people and reducing their purchasing power. That's really what people are saying.
Do you think there can be any economy in this world where the people that are benefiting from that economy do not contribute anything by way of taxes to the economy? Can it be possible?
No, I don't think that's the argument. That is not the argument.
Please, I'm coming. If it is not possible, then you know that definitely there would be some taxes at some point. But this is the government that said that, look, instead of just focusing on taxes, we will try as much as possible to bring some of the taxes down or abolish some. It doesn't mean that where it ought to necessarily introduce a new tax, the government will not do. That's what I'm saying, that if a government can in one fiscal year reduce or abolish about 17 taxes, and in another fiscal year introduce, say, 2 taxes, you do not go and say that because you have introduced 2 taxes, you have failed on your promise that you reduce taxes. That is not a fair argument to any government, especially when we have never seen such a massive reduction or abolishment of taxes in this country before than this government has done. So that is the point I'm making here. So it is not enough to say that, oh, prices are going up and that people's purchasing power, are dwindling. The fact of the matter is that this community cares to understand what inflation is and increases of prices. Inflation can never peter out. The economists understand what we mean by peter out inflation. So you always have some element of inflation with you. What is important is how you are able to control the progression of the inflation. That is what is important to everybody, so that you are able to manage people and you are able to manage systems. But the totality of the performance that you want to have in the economy is reflected in your indicators. And that is why when the Vice President spoke in London last week, gave the statistics and indicated that even with the emergence of COVID and Russia-Ukraine war, the indicators of our economy that people may say they are not happy with have been the best with us for so many years. The Vice President gave data. If you look at the growth of this economy and you average it from 2013 to 2016 under the previous government of 3.9%, you average it from 2017 to 2019, it's about 7%. And even with COVID from 2017 to 2022, it's about 4.9%. You can talk about the same thing for agricultural growth.
Very well.
The average from 2013 to 2016, 2.9%. 2017 to 2022 with COVID and Russia and Ukraine, it's about 6%. And we can go on and on and on. I don't want to bore people with economic indicators.
Very well.
What we are saying is that even with Russia, Ukraine, and everything, the economic indicators and the performance, the summary of the economic activity and performance of this economy under President Akufo-Addo has been far, far better than what we experienced under Kobe Mensah and his NDC. So that is the point we are making. We are not saying that we've solved all the problems of this country. But indeed, if politics is about making choices and the acid test to any political decision is what is the alternative, and it is because of alternatives that people are talking the way they are talking, then we are saying that yes, we have not solved all the problems of this country, but the performance we have put up, even in the midst of the global shock that we are having, far, far exceed what people may think is the alternative that they want to consider.
Thank you.
Exactly what we're talking about.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gideon Bwako. I know in the coming next few days, there'll be more opportunity to interrogate Dr. Bawumia's record and all of the things he said in the past. And we only hope that it's an issue-based campaign. Interestingly, he has what we call the digital transformation agenda, and then his other counterpart, his opposite number or his other contender, Alan Chemantin, has a great transformation plan, which means that transformation is at the center of this flag bearership campaign. We will bring you all you need to know as far as this MPP flag bearership campaign and elections are concerned. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's go to the court and see what the court has been telling the Honorable Jechi Kwesi.
The High Court in Accra has denied a motion by James Jechi for the ongoing criminal proceedings against him to be stayed pending the by-election in Asin North. James Jechi, whose election was declared null and void by the Supreme Court, is standing trial for counts of perjury and deceiving a public official when he denied owing allegiance to any other country aside Ghana. James Jechi, however, has filed nominations to contest on the ticket on the NDC in the by-election scheduled for June 27. But his lawyers on Friday urged the court to stay proceedings as their client is on a national assignment. The state, however, opposed the plea and considering the arguments, denied the request. The case has been adjourned to June 21, which is 6 days away from the by-election.
All right, so Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. It's time for Citi Business News, after which the Citi Business Festival comes your way. And tonight we bring you a summary of this week's on-air series on building resilient SMEs. And that is after the Citi Business News with Neteli Nete Ajaho.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244-308-111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. Let's settle for the details now. Cybersecurity expert Maximus Ametogo has called on the Bank of Ghana to strengthen its regulation of loan applications. His recommendation comes on the heels of the proliferation of uncertified loan apps. Speaking in an interview with Citi Business News, Mr. Ametogo emphasized the need for collaboration between the central bank, telecom service providers, value service providers, and app developers to ensure the safe operation of loan apps.
People's economic situations will push them to take decisions that may go beyond what regulators will want them to take. So if somebody is taking a loan and they say you can request it via a short code, you dial the short code and you can request a loan and then you can use it to pay. You don't know whether the regulator has approved that app or not, right? So it means that the Bank of Ghana must, engage the telecom service providers, the value service providers, and then those who develop all these apps, so that no app, payment platform, or electronic money issuer, either a loan giver or money transfer organization, can operate on the internet in Ghana without approvals from Bank of Ghana.
That was a cybersecurity expert, Maximus Ametogo. The Deputy Director of the Public Procurement Authority, Andrew Kojobefi, has noted that the adoption of the Ghana Electronic Procurement System, GANEPS, will go a long way to reduce corruption. He has thus urged procurement officers in the public sector to embrace the system. Andrew Kojobefi made the call at the end of a 5-day training on the system in Sunyani.
According to World Bank, the electronic procurement system will improve government ability to generate data and analyze performance in capital spendings in real terms. That is increasing transparency in government procurement. The use of open data contracting system helps improve efficiency and effectiveness, subsequently leading to achieving value for money and detection of corruption, collusion, fraudulent, and other incoherent, bad procurement-related practices. The implementation of EGP could also lead to lower price of goods, works, and
That was the Deputy Director of the Public Procurement Authority, Andrew Kojobefi. As part of its corporate social responsibility, Fidelity Bank Ghana has presented a newly constructed 6-unit classroom block to the people of Dorset in the Wild West district of the Upper West region. According to the bank, the move forms part of efforts to support 15 marginalized schools across the country with a suite of customized resources and facility upgrades. Addressing the media during the commission of the project, Managing Director of the bank, Julian Opuni, explained that the decision was also part of the bank's Orange Impact initiative.
The anniversary, we launched our Orange Impact Initiative, which was focused on addressing some of the challenges within education in our country. And we know that the key challenges are around access, around the affordability, and also the quality of education. And so we thought we would try and address, at least on the access side, good infrastructure to help children as they learn. This came about as a referral from one of our own members of staff in our WA branch. And so we thought we would make this our flagship initiative under Orange Impact. So we decided to construct a 6-classroom block for
Julian Oponi is the managing director of Fidelity Bank Ghana. On his part, the chief of Dawson Nabawa said he applauded the move by Fidelity Bank to bring development through education to the area.
Education is the bedrock of development, and for a bank such as Fidelity Bank Ghana to have chosen a hard-to-reach community, as it was said in the Wild West, speaks volumes of a genuine desire by the bank to bring development through education. The community, as a social corporate responsibility, deserves commendation and gratitude. The selection of Duose among 15 communities nationwide can only be described as God sent to get Duose added to the 15 communities to benefit from this magnificent project consisting of 6 spacious classrooms. And
that was the chief of Dawson Nabawa said. Meanwhile, the Wild West District Chief Executive, Honorable Vida Diorite, has also commended Fidelity Bank for supporting the government's agenda of ensuring that every child in Ghana accesses quality education. And that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Neti Ajahu. Have a good evening.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panza.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz?
No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer.
Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design?
It's superb.
Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency.
Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry.
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hello and welcome to this week's special summary of the Honor Series of the Citi Business Festival 2023. It's a week we dedicated to small and medium-sized enterprises, that's SMEs, especially how such businesses can withstand the shocks in the business environment. So in the next 30 minutes, I'll be sharing with you highlights of the valuable conversations we had with our resource persons throughout the week on building resilient SMEs. Just take and stay. I am Ni Lati. Thanks again for your time. This week, we started with an excellent session on developing strong SME brands with Dr. Andrews Ayiku. He is a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies here in Accra, offering some insightful tips on how a business can position its brand to enable it to convey its brand story to gain that competitive advantage.
So in building a brand across the various products and services that you are selling, you need to understand who is your customer. Why are you selling to the customer? And why would the customer switch from his current product and come to you? It's because of the brand.
Why do SMEs need to even talk about branding in the first place?
SMEs need to talk about branding because that is their only credibility. You are not in the shop to explain your product and service to every customer. The only thing you have is the brand. So if your brand is not credible and not trustworthy, who will buy from you? If you are an SME, you don't think about how do I differentiate myself from the market. If I want soap, why should I buy soap? If I want yogurt, why should I buy your yogurt? If I want oats, why should I buy your oats? It is the brand that will differ. That's why when you enter, no matter where your product is placed on the shelf, the customer will go and pick you up. The customer looks for brands. And you, as an entrepreneur, as an SME, you need to think about the emotional connection. Bernard, there's something that customers appreciate. Customers appreciate the time, the effort, and the emotions you attach in delivering products to them. So today, ask yourself, am I delivering products based on time, effort, and emotions, or am I selling to the customer? Or I think the customer will come. Another reason why an SME needs a brand is for premium pricing. Bernard, how do you price your products? It's based on the perception that the customer have. So there are times people will have to organize meetings at certain places because of the perception. So the brand helps you to price. So if you tell me, hey, anytime people come and I tell them the price, they complain. It's because you don't have the brand. It's because they see you as a cheap product. And finally, an SME, a business owner, if you are listening to me this morning, ask yourself, what is the long-term growth of my business? The SME expansion growth, you moving from the idea stage, depends on the brand. Listen, I've been involved in a lot of pitch events, from Hub to Impact Hub to business, Stanbic. If you are pitching your business and you don't tell the people the brand that you have, nobody will be interested in investing in you.
Let's talk about the criteria you use to build a brand for small businesses.
So there are three main criteria that I would advise every business owner to think about. One, consistency. How consistent are you? You meet people, they are selling products and services, and they talk about a product on Facebook, the design is different. On Instagram, it's different. On Twitter, they are tweeting about something else. No, you need to be very consistent. You need to know the rhythm. So the first thing is to establish what we call the social media calendar. Know when to post, who to post to, how to post, and the message behind the posting. You need to be very consistent. The second thing you need to do is to build a community. Bernard, no matter what you are doing, Citi FM has a community of listeners. Any news at all, if it's not from Citi, they won't go anywhere. As a business owner, do you have a community of customers who understand your behavior, your personality, and your shared values? Build a community. Anytime, if you are selling yogurt, anytime a customer calls you, take the customer through a journey. No matter you are selling sobolo, no matter if you are selling food, no matter what you are doing. So I asked the guy, you are into delivery. What are the journeys that you take them through? Now, when you go to a pharmacy, you realize that they are doing more because they want to take you on a journey. That is how you create a community. And finally, the content. Remember, your content allows you to interact with your community. Know what you put out. This morning, I saw on one of the pages of one of the businesses, Accra is wet. And I called her. Is that what you think the customer wants to see on your status? What about your product? What are you selling? Then she said, I'm taking it off. No, you should know what, you should have a personality where when you talk, the customer experiences you.
So they didn't differentiate between their personal views about the weather and what they are, and this means what they are using the company's profile.
Exactly. WhatsApp business. And I went there, I saw Accra. So what else can you tell the customer?
So there's consistency, there's community, and there's content.
Exactly.
3 C's as the criteria to build a strong brand.
Yes.
Now let's come to a SME brand. If you can list some stages or steps in building a strong SME brand.
So if you want to build an SME brand, you need to understand that there are certain steps you need to take. And it needs careful planning and execution. The first point is for you to define your brand strategy. In defining your brand strategy, ask yourself, who am I going to identify as the target audience? If you are selling wigs, you are selling Ultra 33, Color 1, Color 2, no matter what you are selling, you need to be sure who you are selling to. You don't go to maybe UPS and holding Color 1, Color 2 for cornrow whilst the customer wants a wig that is expensive. You should understand clearly. Secondly, in defining your strategy, determine your ideal customer profile. I'm sure Citi has an ideal customer profile, the customer attitude, the customer lifestyle, the customer preferences. You need to understand and define your brand strategy. Secondly, you need to define and identify your brand identity. You need to create a unique selling proposition. There should be something about your logo. There should be something that when I buy, I want to keep it. There should be something that I want people to know I'm associated. People need to identify with what you sell. The third one is that Ghanaian businesses don't know how to tell stories. You go to their website, there's no story, there's no review, there's nobody saying anything about their business. And they are very comfortable. You shouldn't be comfortable. Create a story. What is the story behind? Articulate the story behind the business that you are running. So I said you define your brand strategy, you come up with a brand identity, you create a brand story, and you build an online presence. Building an online presence means that you need to create a well-defined, user-friendly website. If you can't get an app, a mobile version will help. I'm sure now when people need direction or when they want to buy something, they will just say, Bernard, where can I get this? Now you don't normally, as you go online and you type. So when they type, where are you? How would they identify you? How would they know your presence? How are you leveraging on the various platforms, social media platforms? So going on social media is a strategy. So you need to understand that you need to build and you need to be consistent and the customer touch points. Bernard, the key question is, what are your customer touch points? Are your customers price sensitive or they are interested in colors? Are your customers interested in videos or they are interested in discounts? You should know. When you know your customer touch points, you know where to touch them, where they understand clearly what you sell. And lastly, you need to develop a relationship and engage your customers. We should stop this whole issue one-off thing. When was the last time you bought something that the company has even called you? SMEs will tell you that, oh, this is for big companies. It is you. Anytime somebody buys a watch, a yogurt, anything, send the person a review on Instagram. Tell the person, tell me how you feel. Don't try to gauge them to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And feedback is key.
On Tuesday, we were joined by Ismail Ibrahim, Deputy Managing Partner at Ali Nachia and Associates. He discussed how to navigate the tax maze as an SME. Essentially, if you are an SME, how do you find your way around the tax regime so that your operations are not hampered?
From the tax perspective, the large taxpayers are those who have turnover of around 5 million upwards. So you can imagine anyone with turnover below 5 million is technically an SME from a tax perspective. And so usually everyone falls into the bracket that we deal with.
So generally speaking, what are the tax requirements of these companies? Before we get into specifics, a company that is turnover of below 5 million, what are the main taxes they must pay? Or does it depend on the industry they are in?
Well, the main taxes generally would be the income tax, and then you have your VAT with its associated levies, NHIL, Get Fund, and then the COVID. So these are the two main taxes. But in terms of responsibilities, we'll be looking at maintaining records, filing the necessary returns on time, and then paying the taxes. Those are the three things when it comes to compliance.
Wonderful. So you maintain good
Proper
tax records,
yes.
And then you file the return on time. The two main taxes are income and VAT and associated tax, NHIL as well.
Those are the main ones.
So when what is income tax as far as an SME is concerned?
Income tax, so we are basically looking at any monies you've earned from business, from investment, and maybe employment. And we have what we call the accessible income, which is the total amount you've earned. Now, after you've done the necessary deductions, you have what we call the chargeable income. It's on this chargeable income that we impose the taxes. That's the general idea when it comes to income tax.
And this income tax is paid monthly?
So it depends. Ideally, you're supposed to file your self-estimate assessment and pay tax on a quarterly basis. Then at the end of the year, when you are in April of the next year, you file your annual tax. That's for businesses. But for PAYE and the rest is on a monthly basis, as well as VAT and withholding taxes.
Does income tax apply to both formal and informal sectors? By that I mean, if you're in a formal employment, you have an employment letter, you have a salary slip, and your money is typically paid through a bank, versus you work in a shop as a shop assistant. End of the month, the man calls you and gives you an envelope. So in both contexts, are we to pay income tax?
Absolutely. Everyone has to pay. The difficulty is our largely informal market, where, for example, the person doing food deliveries, cooking in their house and delivering it, getting cash payments would not go and pay the tax. Our tax system relies heavily on voluntary tax compliance, which means that Bernard has to get up and go to the tax office to pay the taxes. Otherwise, it's difficult to find you until you have been roped into the system.
Wonderful. So it means that for even informal workers, there has to be income tax paid. Whose onus is it? Is it the employer or the employee?
So let me take this on two folds. The general responsibility is on the employer. So, for example, if I'm taking Citi FM has to make sure it's withholding the employee's taxes and paying it on a monthly basis. Now, there is a responsibility on every employee to also file their returns. Interestingly, there used to be this provision in the Income Tax Act which said that if all you earned was employment income, you didn't have to file returns. But then in a subsequent amendment, this provision was taken out, which implies that every single person has to file their own returns. And that's a difficulty with most employees because they're not going to file their returns. And an employer has a responsibility to issue to the employee a withholding tax certificate so that it's easier to file their returns and show that this is how much taxes I've paid for my employment income. Now, any other income I've earned, this is so much, and then you file your returns and pay taxes thereof.
So that's for income tax.
Yes.
You also mentioned VAT, NHIL, COVID. Just break that tax down for us. What is it? Is it one tax or is different taxes collected at once?
There are different taxes collected at once. So VAT is the main tax, but the other taxes are collected together with the VAT. So you have your VAT rate of which has now been increased to 15%, and then you have your NHIL, National Health Insurance Levy of 2.5. You have Get Fund of 2.5, and then your COVID levy of 1%. How it is computed is that when you have your amount, you put the NHI and Get Fund on it first, and then your COVID levy before you impose the VAT tax. So these are separate taxes that are collected together and then subsequently distributed, put taxes on it.
So you've mentioned two main taxes, the income tax and investment associates. But is that all that companies will pay? Will things like the property rate if I have a small shop, or business registration levy or whatever, do we consider those things as taxes at all? So like, let's assume I have a shop that sells shoes at Kaneshi, right? And I sell both imported and locally made shoes. And I have 6 employees. So I'll pay income tax for the 6 and for myself. And then if I make the shoes, I'll pay VAT on the raw material on the value.
When you're selling it.
Yes,
yeah.
When I'm selling it. Is that all my tax liability, or could there be other taxes?
Yeah, there could be other taxes. I mean, built inside the CIT is your responsibility to withhold taxes. This is technically someone else's tax they have to pay that you have to withhold and give it to the government. If you fail to withhold, the government will come after you for the withholding tax and charge you interest on that. Interestingly, you cannot go after the person you failed to withhold from for the interest. You can only take the withholding tax component. Now, apart from this, when we talk about taxes, from a theory point of view, any contribution you're making to government is technically a tax. But from the Ghanaian perspective, we are looking at levies, or let me say taxes again, administered by the GRA. GRA, if I'm not mistaken, administers in full about 20 taxes, and then in part about 9 taxes or so. So we have several taxes. Now we have the growth fund levy, or growth
and sustainability levy.
Yes, and sustainability levy, which prior to this was the NFSL, National Fiscal Stabilization Levy. You have airport tax, you have your tourism levy and all that. And as I've said, technically, because a lot of companies are in the SME space, depending on the industry you find yourself, you might be paying some of these taxes,
Perhaps you are considering additional funding to support that creative idea of yours. I mean, when we talk about businesses and how they run, we cannot forget about money. So we brought in Audrey Abaka, who has expertise in that field. Audrey is Director of SME, Agency Banking and Partnership at APSA. Listen to her as she simplifies the process of accessing finance for SMEs.
It all boils down to money.
But usually you would say people start business with their owner's capital, and then they build on from there.
Yeah.
So your own money, family, people, friends.
Exactly.
And then it looks like bank becomes the next level, right?
Yes, so there are many sources of, funding businesses, like you rightly said. There are various stages that businesses must be aware. But in most cases, the banks are the preferred. And they are the preferred because if you compare a bank financing you to, let's say, a private equity company financing you, the bank will not come in to take some level of ownership from your business. And most of the SMEs, they want to own their business.
So give me the money, I work, I pay you back, I keep my business.
Exactly.
As against private equity where I want a part of your business.
They would want some level of control in your business.
So bank finance is still the most preferred, generally. Although
yes.
private equity and angel investors
they
and
are
even
all
venture capital is growing.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So when we say bank finance, what do we mean?
So what we mean is that this is where a bank would inject funding into a business over a period of time with an interest, and is expected that the client honors his repayment obligation. The loans could be unsecured or secured facility. Yes.
Right. And that's not a business loan.
No.
Or I want to finish a project.
Mm.
But a business is a more complicated thing, which is why I'm asking.
Yes.
But what are the types of finance available for businesses?
So, Bernard, we have your short-term finance, and the short-term finance usually is to augment working capital, and it is usually paid within a year. Then we also have the medium-term and then the long-term financing for medium-term business financing need, and then long-term financing need. But in most cases with the SMEs, they would want to go in for a short-term financing need. And some of the options available include an excess. So an excess allows a business to overdraw his account, up to an approved amount to be paid within a very short period of time. In ABSA, we allow it for just about 10 days. And you should be very convinced that you'll be getting the money to come for such a credit arrangement. And then we also have the overdraft. So overdraft is also a working capital, and it's an approved limit that we mark on the customer's account. So the customer can go in and out anytime he deems fit, and, anytime he needs it for an appropriate, business purpose. And it's also, within about a year. And overdrafts are not credit lines that you have to use for your capital expenditure, because they are funds available to you to run your business so that you can return it to us, within specific time period. And then we also have your invoice discounted if you have delivered any contract, and your payment is, that your payment is going to be delayed, let's say for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, but you have the invoice. It can be validated with the organization that you deliver that services to, or supply those products to. You can come to the bank, and the bank can finance those invoices up to 80%. We also have our contract financing. So let's say you have a contract from a Nestle, a Guinness, and you need money because your money is locked up. You don't have working capital. When you come to us, we can finance the contract sum up to 80%. With us, there is no collateral required. The invoice discounting as well, there is no collateral required.
Depends on the credibility of the organization contracting.
So we take our risk on that. And then let me finally talk about the short-term loans. I told you we are lending at 10%. We can even do up to 1 million, but it's a short-term loan up to 24 months and the likes.
Amazing.
And then the long-term, for your project financing.
So if I'm building like a power plant, that
will be a long term, because you may require moratorium, because you need to finish the project. The project would have to begin to work and to, generate revenue to pay.
Good. Give me some of the things you look out for to finance an SME, beyond the fact that the guy is smiling at you and saying that he wants money. What are some of the things you check before you agree to give the person the money?
Yeah, so obviously you have to be a legal entity. We don't finance illegal businesses. So you have to be a legal entity, and you have to register with the Registrar General's Department. And then also you should run your business for at least 3 years. There should be some track record of having managed money prudently. You understand, and having demonstrated that you have the skills, the capability, and commercial awareness to manage your business, and progress it, in the future. We also look at mostly your capacity to pay, ability to pay. That is the number one. Because if you don't have the capacity, I do not think that any bank will look at your direction. The capacity, I'm looking at your cash flow. And then we also look at, your openness to provide relevant information, because the lending process requires a lot of engagement. The credit team will ask 101 questions because they need to understand your business. They need to understand how to even structure your loan. They need to, appreciate certain dynamics, about your business, and also be able to analyze the numbers so well to be able to determine whether you qualify for the amount that you have asked for.
So you look at my projected cash flow.
We look at it. It's very, very important. And then we also look at out for whether you do not have any adverse findings, about your company. So, we have to research about you to be sure that we are dealing with the right business. And then credit worthiness. There is no adverse credit findings.
I'm not going to collect money and
exactly. And to the businesses that are listening to me, if you borrow from any bank and you do not pay, we would all get to know.
We have branding ticked, tax issues checked, and also that financing hurdle crossed. But we are not done yet. There is one more important element left. Guess it? That's the people to work with. How do you get that formidable team to achieve your deliverables as an SME? Let's hear from Taka Awori. Taka is the CEO of Busara Africa, and she was heavy on building a winning SME team.
How do you institutionalize knowledge, culture, systems, processes so that everything is not dependent on one person? And that's usually the challenge we have as SMEs. It's all about one person who has all the skills in their heads. So I think that's a key thing. We need to institutionalize, put systems in place so that as people come and go, and that will happen. That's just a reality. Now, you really asked me about a winning team, because not every team is a winning team. Some are very dysfunctional teams.
Yes.
So three things make a team a winning team. Number one, they achieve sustained results.
Okay.
So not just results today, hey, hi, and then things go wrong and then they can't. So achieve sustained results. Number two, they maintain team resilience. Because we recognize no matter what challenges will come. So when challenges come, how resilient is the team to be able to bounce, not just back, but forward? And the final thing, they're vital. And this is important in terms of, when I mean they have vitality, let me clarify that. It means they have a lot of positive energy. And the reason I emphasize this, Bernard, is because I've seen teams that can achieve results, but they're toxic. I mean, by the time people have worked with that team to put on a show to achieve this thing, they're burnt out, they're stressed, and they're on verge of... That's not the kind of vitality that we're talking about.
I like the resilience, because that suggests they've been through challenges.
Yes.
And they've been through fights together.
Yes.
And they're still... So it means a team... one of the ways in which a group becomes a team is also overcoming adversity together.
For sure. And learning how to do that, because that's not always self-evident.
So as I said, some of the leaders I talk to complain about different things, but have you been able to isolate some of the key challenges leaders have with teams?
Yes. Lots, for sure. But let me bring out three that I've seen. One of the first ones is, and I may ask you if you've had to deal with this one before, particularly given the business that you're in, is managing star players or divas who won't play nice. They don't collaborate, they're egocentric, they don't deliver, they deliver results, so we don't hold them accountable. The second one is about managing conflict within the team. And there are all kinds of conflicts. There's task-based conflict, where...
Citi 97.3. Accra.
The king is here. Atwentwenko a yɛtwɛn no ansa na yakoko. You keep the wheel